Michael Wu says hello to everyone. Hello, Michael. Welcome to the call. And so what we'll do is we'll just get this call started as we are at the top of the hour. I want to welcome each and every one of you. This is the Enriching Gifts Education Call, as we do it each and every week, Wednesday night. Well, I guess Wednesday. Well, I don't even know if I can say that. It depends on what part of the world you're in. We've got from down under in Australia to all parts of the United States, Canada, and at some points other people from around the world join us. So we just want to say welcome. This is a absolute treat that we get to have each and every week to learn and just soak it in from our host tonight, Ron Schneider. And Ron, welcome. I know you're tired. You've been lifting sheetrock all day, but we really appreciate you making it each and every week and blessing us all. So welcome to the call, Ron.
Thank you. I needed a break, so it was a good reason to shut that down for the night.
Right.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to kind of start off the night with a couple of updates. And now I can positively 100% confirm I got a call from the trucking company. Want to make sure that somebody was going to be in my Miles City office on Monday because we're getting Steromax. So that was awesome to hear that. That's
Yay! That's good news.
There's no more guessing with that. No more moving it back. It will be in stock on Monday. And everybody that's got their orders in and everything, whether it be the internet, whether it be through our wholesale side, it will all go out on Monday to the wholesalers and to the orders that we have on back orders. So that's really good. I have a October 2nd ship date for our multivitamins, and that is pretty well confirmed at this point. I don't see why it would be transferred back one more week or another month. I mean, we've had to deal with that for the last 3 months. It keeps getting pushed back, but that's because it's COVID-19. There were several different ports that were closed down internationally where we get some of our raw materials, and that was causing a whole big backup and delay because of customs and importing and this and shipping and this and that. So those issues are coming slowly to be resolved, but we should have that back in stock because that's been out of stock for well over 5 months. So we'll get that back in stock. And as everybody remembers, we were out of stock for that last year for 6 months. And that had nothing to do with COVID-19. It just, all the political stuff, the way the world is today, all the unrest in the world, if we got all of our products and ingredients from one single country called the United States, that would be great. But unfortunately, in order to get some of this really high quality stuff like coenzyme Q10, you got to go to Japan, you got to go to Finland for some of this algae and the different algae-based or seed-based plants and stuff. So it creates a little bit of a problem, and COVID really complicated it. But we should have a full inventory of everything by October the 1st. And then we'll have all products back in stock. The only thing that we are running a little bit limited on is the heart algae. We've only got about maybe 25, 30 cases of that left. So I don't see that being a big problem. We'll have more in stock by December 1st. And our probiotics, we have plenty of those, but we even have those on another order coming by December 1st because they're selling so fast. And it's not all COVID-19 anymore. Our business is definitely starting to pick up as more and more people come to find out about us. And again, just like I shared last week, Dover, I know you weren't on the call, but last weekend, Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, I had 4 different calls from people telling me they no longer have cancer. And one of these calls was from Hawaii, from a really good friend of Arnie's mom through the church. And she was terminal. She's 71 or 74 years old. They never gave her any hope whatsoever. In fact, they recommended lining up hospice. And that was about 4 months ago. And they called me last Sunday saying they don't know how, but she doesn't have cancer anymore. It's completely gone. Well, we know how. And I'm not going to say this is a cure for cancer, but definitely when you do things to the immune system, the way the Steromax, the enzymes, the probiotics, the metabolic, and the aloe do, the human body is an amazing, amazing machine. It just can do unbelievable things. It does it from the day you're born. I mean, life itself is a miracle to me. Everything, the way the body functions, heals itself, and do what it does, is always going to fascinate my mind. It just blows my mind, actually. But so that's some of the updates on the product side of everything. And I do want to just real quick touch on something. I got several calls last couple of days about colostrum again. Colostrum is making a big comeback with some new network marketing. And, you know, this is one topic I can speak very intelligently from. Colostrum is basically the protein that's found in mother's milk. And it's only found in breast milk typically. And so a lot of colostrum gets from mares and horses, this, that. Then people will start questioning about the antibiotics, you know, growth hormones, and the this and the that. Well, there's a company, the two people that actually discovered this. This was actually discovered in Scottsdale, Arizona, way back in 1984. I had just moved there in November of '84, got to personally know these two guys in 1985 and '86. They actually had a marketing program, was not network marketing, but they actually came out and did live seminars in the Valley of Scottsdale and stuff. So just to let everybody know, that whole thing is starting to come around and be the buzz in the network marketing industry. And it's not the two people that I know that developed it, first of all. And then there's one little small problem with colostrum in general. Where did I say it came from? It comes from mother's milk. Well, just like weaning a child, and just like a child and an infant, your body produces enzymes that will actually digest very effectively that colostrum and the different proteins in the dairy from mother's milk during breastfeeding. Problem is, as you age, like a lot of other enzymes, they start to disappear because you no longer need them. Your diet has changed. You've gone to whole food instead of breast milk. And so there's in lies one of the biggest problems. And I actually got on the website of this company, looked through it. There is not the enzymes that's required to break that type of protein down in that product. So we're going to come right back to the exact same problem that we've always had. Somebody's really got a lot of background noise in here. But anyway, you're going to come back to the same problem that I pointed out to the first two guys that brought this out when I was living in Scottsdale. Well, your body, in an adult, you don't have the enzymes to break that protein down. So aren't you really becoming allergic to a foreign protein? And they kind of scratched their head and they said, no, your normal digestion will do that. Well, over the years, literally, in fact, over the decades, I've really researched that after I got to know these two gentlemen very, very well, and they finally concluded that I was right. How in the heck can you sit there and digest something that only comes from a pregnant source as an adult? It's just like, you know, there's a reason why your body won't digest dairy products once after you're 4 or 5 years old. You actually have dairy intolerances. Constipation, diarrhea, stomach aches, bloating, all kinds of inflammation in the GI tract on a regular basis by consuming dairy products, because your body no longer produces lactase enzyme, which breaks down the lactose solids in dairy products. And that's just something that you eventually grow out of slowly. And then you keep going on, drinking milk and all this stuff as an adult. Eventually you're going to have all kinds of intestinal problems. It's not just plaque buildup in the mucosal layers of the GI tract. It's actually chronic inflammation because of that allergen protein, which is called dairy. Your body doesn't produce high amounts of lactase enzymes for that. And this is a real genetic problem as our Western diet starts to circulate further and further and deeper into the world's population. Because you go over to Japan, people are extremely lactose intolerant. They aren't raised on milk and cow products, ever. They can't afford it. You go over to the Philippines, you go over to China. Those people are severely lactose intolerant. I've talked about my wife's intolerant many times on this conference call over the decades. Because we've been married for 15 years. It's one of the very first things I talked about was her whole love of Breyer's ice cream when she moved to America. And yet 2 tablespoons and she's all doubled over, sick, really gassy. And I mean, it's just horrendous. She just does not handle dairy at all until I came along with my enzymes. So when you start hearing about this whole colostrum thing, I'm going to get back to my point and then I'm going to move on. So when you get that, you start hearing about this new colostrum thing, you're going to still have the same flaw that it had that the very first two gentlemen brought it out. Your body does not produce the enzymes that's going to digest the different various proteins within that product. So I would just simply tell you, I'm not opposed to it, but you better be taking our digestive enzymes, because the enzymes that are in our plant-based enzymes through Enriching Gifts, the plant enzymes, those are the enzymes necessary to digest. There's 6 different proteases in our product. I only list the total HET activity and just put plant enzymes, proteases. We actually have 6 different strains that have different pH factors, temperature factors, different activation and activity factors, so on and so forth. But I don't disclose all of that stuff, and I'm not going to do it here. I'm just saying we have the enzymes within our formula to actually break down colostrum, regardless of who markets it. So that's what I just want to leave at that, because I've had several calls yesterday and today about this. It's really popping up real heavy up in the Amish community and up north through Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, so on and so forth. So, and then tonight, I guess, I really didn't have a big, long, lengthy topic. Just want to say that, you know, the internet business is going well. Talia and Stephen are working very diligently to make sure that everybody has a really good experience as well as good, timely service. And everybody that knows me, customer service is priority number 1. Nothing supersedes customer service, period. So they've been doing a really good job at that. I've heard a lot of feedback in that respect from them, so that's good. Health-wise and all of that kind of stuff, I mean, one of the things that I will caution everybody about with this whole mandated mask thing over in California, Washington, I know this is kind of out where you're at, Dover. I don't know how much it's enforced in Seattle and Seattle suburbs and stuff, but with all the smoke from the fires on the West Coast, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, California, I mean, we don't even have blue skies here anymore. They are just filthy gray in the sunset. You can look straight in the sun at 6, 5 o'clock at night. It looks like you're in Honolulu, Hawaii, just a bright, glowing pink, neon pink every single night because there's so much smoke in the air. So wearing a mask is really going to complicate wearing a mask. If you've got any smoke in the air or anything else, you should definitely not wear that mask. Your health is going to be compromised so fast, so quickly, you could actually go into respiratory arrest, where your lungs actually will not be able to function and get in enough air with wearing a mask and the poor air quality to begin with. And I've only seen 2 people on national television even talking about this. Janice Dean from Fox News, she's the meteorologist, she's one of them. So just really wanted to put that out there, because this is one more thing that's really complicating this whole COVID-19 and the mask thing, and whether it's in public or in your house, it's not so bad. But if you're even out the door and you start to smell that smoke and stuff, you think about that. Don't be so quick to put on that mask and wear it, because it will really compromise your breathing and respiratory system. And with that being said, that's really all I had for tonight, unless we've got some people on the line that have questions or comments or about disease, illness, anything like that. I'm always happy to kind of field and answer those questions for people. That's why we're here. So we can go ahead and open up the live conferencing. Yeah.
So if anyone have a question or a comment for Ron, please step out there. And Michael, you're in our thoughts and prayers in the chat. I know you mentioned about the wildfires there in California, Los Angeles, and
Absolutely.
throughout. And same here in Washington, and like Ron said, the whole West Coast, and yeah, so nothing but good positive vibes. And like Ron said, I agree with you, Ron, and it definitely compromising, I feel too, wearing a mask, especially with let alone no smoke in the air, but yeah, especially with these fires going. And I look out the window, and yeah, it's dark out there, darker than normal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you will really notice it, and don't just pass it off, because literally it is causing real big respiratory problems. It was on national news this morning. Thank God, like I said, Janice Dean, thank God somebody's talking about it,
Sure.
Because it really will compromise your respiratory ability.
Yeah. All right. So who has a question or a comment for Ron? Please step out there. Don't be shy. This is what this call is all about. It's about all of us. So your question may help someone else as well. So please step out there.
Hi,
Anyone
Ron.
with a question or comment?
Hi, Ron. James here, Ron. Look, I've got a question. How you doing? Look, I've got a question on iron. I had a 12-monthly blood test last week, and after speaking with I got the pathology report, and it's indicated my iron's really high. They're saying it's high, and I've spoken to the doctor about what I'm doing with Enriching Gifts, and she actually was taking a lot of notes. She's quite interested in what you do, but she said, look, she just wanted to try and find out why the iron is high, and suggesting, should I, keep off the products for 4 to 6 weeks to see if they're having any effect. But I just wanted to talk to you about it before I start sort of jumping into that thing.
Right, and I'm really grateful you brought that up, James, because this can definitely affect your iron levels. One of the things that happens is, think about this. Your body has this real high production of hydrochloric acid in order to activate your protease enzymes, right?
Yep.
Okay, one thing I've always talked about is I have multiple strains of proteases. They're acid and alkaline activated. So a lot of times when you start taking digestive enzymes, your body doesn't produce as much hydrochloric acid because the digestive efficiency becomes so good. And if you're not producing hydrochloric acid in high or sufficient amounts, your metal-based minerals, not just iron, your copper, your zinc, all of those necessary minerals can actually enter into the body incompletely metabolized, because they're not completely digested and broken down with the exposure to the acid. So what you can do is, rather than getting off products and stuff, I think you're lacking a little bit in your acid production. And by the way, that's why I have alkaline activated enzymes in our product, because that's a natural aging deficiency. Everybody eventually becomes severely deficient in hydrochloric acid, and then you become deficient in your ability to produce enzymes. So there's no wonder, and there's no coincidence or wondering why there's such a huge digestive problem when you start to hit the ages of 55, 60, and older. You just don't eat near as much food. Why? Because it makes you sick. It makes you nauseous. Your body just can't handle it. And you start eating less and less meat and going more and more towards salads, macaroni and cheese, very soft carbohydrate type meals, spaghetti, things like that. And you get away from your muscle tissue meats like your bacon, your chicken, your beef, your pork, things like that. And that's exactly why. So as I tell people, well, just start taking an enzyme, put back in what your body can't produce. But then when you start taking alkaline activated enzymes where you're getting digestion done, your body is just so conservative on the way it distributes energy and calories. If your body doesn't have to produce that hydrochloric acid because digestion's getting done, it's not going to. But in like your case, and this is rare, this is not common, but it is I'm aware of it. In the case like yours, where you actually have a buildup in high iron, it's because the only reason your body's not using iron is one of two factors. There's only two factors only. Why? One, you're not producing enough hydrochloric acid to completely break down the iron to where it's cellularly metabolizable. Or two, this iron that you're getting exposed to, do you take any kind of iron supplements at all?
No, definitely not.
Okay, because a lot of times people will take an iron supplement that's an elemental iron. They're really cheap, even the doctors prescribe them and stuff. But get good quality like a Geritol iron. I used to take iron as a bodybuilder and as a weightlifter and as an athlete because I was so active and sweat so much. I was really always almost anemic. So I was on iron supplements and stuff. But this is where I kind of got educated about this. There are definitely differences in iron. And if you're not able to break it down because of hydrochloric acid, then the only other thing is you got a real poor quality iron that your body just can't break down very effectively at all. And so it builds up in the body as you consume it. And then usually in order for that to happen, you're taking some kind of iron supplements with a poor quality iron in it. But in your case, because I know you use all our products and stuff, I just wonder, have you ever tried to take some apple cider vinegar or some betaine hydrochloric powdered capsules And by the way, don't ever take more than 250 milligrams of betaine hydrochloride. You do more than that, and your body's going to start shutting down, producing its own hydrochloric acid, and then you're going to become totally dependent on supplementation for the rest of your life, because you can't live without hydrochloric acid production. So I was thinking apple cider vinegar. I would try that. Take a tablespoon, and I would go along with that. Don't change anything you're doing. Just take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar every meal you eat, anytime you have protein. And I'll bet you your iron problem goes away.
Yeah. So how
So then
serious? Sorry, Ron.
What's that? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, with having high iron, like I look at the last 3 years of blood tests, because I usually get them done every 3 years. You know, the percentage was, 2018 it was 26, 2019 it was 45, and 2020 was 63. I mean, how not dangerous,
Well,
but how conservative?
just let me stop you though. Let's go back over what you just said, for the convenience and for the benefit of all the other listeners on this line, because this is something that we're all going to face if we have an opportunity enough to live long enough. I'm talking in your ages of 60, 70, 80 years old. And you are how old again?
I'm in my 60s.
You're in your 60s?
Yep.
Okay. So you're right up there with my age and stuff, and you're going to really notice this over the age of 55, 57. It will become an issue between you and your doctor, and you start doing these blood testing. But look, I want to go back, and again, for the benefit of everybody listening, let's go back over the last 3 years that you just told me your numbers were, because they seem to be increasing every single 3 years. That number of iron is going up and up and up. Okay, well, that's why. Because you're not getting enough hydrochloric acid production to fully ionize your meals. So if you're going to be taking these digestive enzymes, one thing that I would suggest to do a little less of is not, how many enzymes do you actually use per meal per day?
3 a meal.
3 a meal, and do you take the 3 at bedtime?
Yep, I take 3 with breakfast, lunch, and evening meal.
And nothing at bedtime?
And I take either 1 or 2 when I go to bed.
Okay, so you do. So what I would do is do the 2 enzymes each meal, because I got a feeling you're not eating a lot of big meats and stuff either.
No.
Right. So I would cut it back to 2, because I honestly think you're over consuming the enzymes. And like I said, this is not a prevalent problem with anybody. In fact, it's very, very rare. But I know people, Tom Mann was one of those guys, and he just pounded enzymes because he was more interested in the big muscle, the mass, the tissue for his powerlifting career. But he was one of my friends that I had to work through this with, and we got him doing some apple cider vinegar and stuff. And boom, it literally went away in a couple months. His next blood test, I think, was 60 days later, and it was back down to normal. So that's why I said I almost got a feeling like you're over consuming the amount of enzymes for the calorie consumption you have.
Yeah. Okay.
And taking the 2 at nighttime, though, I wouldn't stop doing that, because that just, whatever's there in the daytime that didn't get digested, that 2 to 3 at night, that's there to cleanse the blood, oxygenate the blood, break down the protein that's causing inflammation, inhibiting blood flow and circulation. It's just a miracle. When you start putting the 2 at night or 3 at night when you go to bed, that just changes everything. But you got to, unfortunately, wait for about 6-8 weeks before you can start doing that without risking a heavy detoxification release.
Yep. Okay.
Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely, it does. It
Okay.
does.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I said, the doctors was pretty impressed with what I told her about, enriching gifts. I mean, when I first walked in, she looked at my blood test. She said, "Oh, what are you doing about your LDL cholesterol has dropped?" Because mine was always on the upper. It was higher. She said, "What are you doing?" And that's when I explained to her about what we're doing here, and she was pretty impressed. So I've given her quite a lot of information, and she wants to have a look at it for a patient. So it's great.
Well, I can tell you, and by the way, I just talked with Rob today, Dover. And he sent me all of his recent blood work, and he had a question on there about some, what the heck was it? He sent it to me because it was so good, and then I had a couple questions for him, one on the glucose, because it was 119. I said, you really don't want to get up 110. And then the other one was the neutrophils. He had slightly elevated neutrophils, and so I explained to him what that was all about. But his LDL cholesterol and his HDL cholesterol were within 2 points of being an identical number. So his HDL was 62, his LDL, his dad was 67. And his triglycerides were, 83, I think, something like that, which was way, way, way down, less than 25% of what the normal thing was. So amazing. And he again says, I just wanted you to have this so you could actually do what you want with it. But this is a testimonial. He's 60-some years old, and it's very, very stressful. He had to go have blood work because they pretty sure he suffered a mini stroke. Because they tell me that they saw the drooping in his face. I said, yep, that's definitely a stroke. That's the first sign. If you don't have Bell palsy, which is a virus that attacks the nerves deep in your inner ear and stuff, and that can cause a droopiness or a temporary disfiguration. The first thing I tell everybody, and this is a good call, everybody might learn something in here. I'm sure if you haven't heard this before, always remember this. Remember to face. F-A-S-E, not C-E. F-A-S-E, face. Look at the face. If someone is having trouble communicating or feeling off and funny, you always look at their face. The first thing you look for is an unevenness or a symmetry drop, some kind of a droopiness. And then the A is ask questions. See if that person is cognitive and can communicate with you. And then the S is listen to the speech. If there's any slurring of the speech at all, don't even go to the E. The E is for emergency. Get your butt out the door and get to the emergency room. You're actually in the process of having a stroke. So always remember F-A-S-E, face, ask questions, speech, listen to the speech when the questions are answered. And if it's out of the norm, can't remember, can't respond properly, slurred speech, go to the emergency. And so anyway, that's why he had his blood test, but his blood test came back fantastic on everything, except for the neutrophils were a little bit high. And I explained to him, I said, you know what? I said, you're not eating regularly, you're not taking the enzymes regularly. He said, yeah, I've been stressed out for the last few months. You know, his father passed away. I think back in March, he was finally able to go back to New York and have a memorial for him just a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, this whole COVID-19 thing is raising hell on everybody. But anyway, it's affecting his health because of the anxiety, the inflammation, and all that stuff. But I said, all you got to do, Rob, is just remember, look at those blood tests. Look at that number. Look at your overall test, man. This is like perfection at its best. And like I said, his LDL cholesterol and his HDL, there wasn't even 5 points difference between the two numbers. Most people will have a 37 to 55 of HDL, and they'll have 200, 220, 230. Like I said, his was 62 and 67. That is perfect. You cannot get any better than that. That is, if I put it on black and white and wanted to create the exact optimum, best possible scenario, that would be it. And mine, everybody, when I talked about mine, how great mine was, because my LDL, my bad cholesterol, is actually lower than my good cholesterol. My HDL cholesterol is up to 116, 113, something like that. And my LDL cholesterol is about 58. Well, that's actually not optimum. That scares the dickens out of me. Why? Because you have to have LDL cholesterol for your body to make vitamin D. Why is that important? Because vitamin D is what your body uses to actually absorb calcium into the bloodstream and helps to circulate it into the actual cell. Without vitamin D, calcium is worthless in the human body. And that's another reason why calcium builds up, because you're not able to use it and metabolize it because of severe vitamin D3 deficiencies. So I was just talking with him, and I said, man, yours is even better than mine. And I can tell you, Dover knows this. There aren't too many people that I can say that about. I'll always stand up. I'll compare my blood with your blood any day of the week. But I had to admit to Rob today, it's like, wow, yours is better than mine. I'm a little jealous. But again, he knows it's because of the Enriching Gifts products, and he's been taking them since 2006. So that's what, 14 years. So, yeah, and it's been a long time since I talked to Rob, so it was great to touch base with him again anyway. So I just wanted to share that with everybody because, James, you brought up your doctor. I can go on and on. There's literally tens of thousands of people that have these same kind of results if they're using the product on a regular basis. And that Steromax will actually help to resist the body's ability or impair the body's ability to absorb fat from your meal. Once you've been on this stuff for 6-9 months for your immune system, the added benefit of that is you've got sterols circulating around your bloodstream at optimum levels, which actually inhibit the absorption of fats into the bloodstream because there's already fats there. They're called plant sterols. So your blood's already saturated with fat. There's no space to absorb fat too. And that's the other benefit of a long-term thing that I don't even ever talk about because it's too confusing. People want to take it with their meal to reduce their LDL cholesterol. Great, let's have that conversation. But don't try to market this as a LDL cholesterol reducing product when its real main true benefit is what it does for the human immune system. But the side benefit of long-term use of Steromax is you're going to start to see numbers like Rob's and mine and everybody else's. So the LDL cholesterol is not a problem. You can literally see it drop within 6 months. And that's just one of the side benefits of having that high sterol glucoside floating around, circulating around inside your body. And that's one benefit that Steromax gives you. Prostate. You've all heard about the product beta prostate on national television with the beta cytosterols. There's a guy that talks to, I don't even know the interviewer. There's another one that talked to Larry King. There's 4 or 5 different beta prostate products on the market for prostate and nighttime dribbling. It works. And, as these all came up within the last 10 years, I go back, holy cow, I knew this way back 20 years ago plus, because I was over in South Africa in 1994. So what is that, 26 years ago I've known the benefits of beta cytosterol. And Professor Carl Pagel, he's one of the discoverers, not of the beta cytosterol, he is the discoverer of a glucoside, a side molecule attached to only a beta cytosterol. Camposterols and cytosterols don't have it. Only the beta cytosterols have it. So there's actually 3 types of sterols. There's a beta sterol, cytosterol, and a camposterol. And a beta cytosterol is the one with the active glucoside. So don't want to get those 2 confused because they're actually 2 separate categories of sterols, but only beta cytosterol actually has an active glucoside. So I guess you call that a 4th category, but there's really only 3. But anyway, so yeah, that's just some of the extra added benefits of the Steromax product. But it's great for prostate issues, prostate cancer. Clark Tucker, he's usually on the call tonight. Are you on tonight, Clark? Well, I guess not. He's usually on here on Wednesday nights, always talking about the great benefits and things that him and his families were seeing results from our product. And he's a gentleman, we definitely know it's the Enriching Gifts product that saved him from his prostate cancer. And he was being treated by one of the top doctors anywhere in the United States. He does all the physicals for the Indianapolis 500 race car drivers each year in order to prove them to even be in that race. So, and for 5 years, he's just been going downhill to the point where he's almost becoming incapacitated. And he has trucking business, sells big expensive airplanes for a living, Learjets. And so he couldn't afford to be inactivated. And so luckily he ran into me, and the good Lord were able to help him out of his situation. So, but anyway, so James, do you have anything else that you needed answered?
No, I think you covered everything pretty well, Ron,
okay.
and I'll work on that. But you mentioned about sterols. I mean, I've been on those sterols. It's 12 months right now. September. It was September 2019. I went on the sterols, and you talked about a prostate. Well, I had a slightly enlarged prostate. Wasn't bad, but I got it measured 12 months ago, and I had it measured a couple of months ago, and its original measurement or volume was 32 mil, and it's now shrunk to 24 mil volume. So I haven't got a you know, an enlarged prostate at all now. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
No.
And the PSA.
Yeah, right. What did you just tell me? It shrunk by over a third.
Yeah.
You're going from 32 to 24. That's about a third.
Yeah, and I can prove that by the ultrasound measurements, and I've got all the measurements there. And the PSA from 12 months ago it's now 0.89, and it was 1.2.
Right, and 0.89. I'm telling you, that's not even a 0.1 at your age.
Yeah,
1.5 to 2 is not that out of the range. That's normal range for somebody your age or my age. Yep. 1.5 to 2. Because those PSA numbers are going to go up as we age because of our hormone and diminishment of our different hormonal levels and stuff, which is going to cause it to rise. That's why prostate cancer is such a big issue for people over the age of 65, especially in men.
Yep, sure. No, I'm just
so yeah,
so
awesome.
About it. Yep, it's fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But we know this stuff works. Like I said, when I first started this, for the first 7-8 years I was in business, I must have spent at least $45 to $50 million. I know documented we spent over $42 million in the first 4 years. And that was all on clinical trial and scientific research. Research. I was just one the absolute best, not only to my ability as an understanding and nutrition formulator in the human body, but I just wanted to be the best out there. Like I was talking to Kurt today, one of our big wholesalers out in Wisconsin. I said, you know the one thing, Kurt, I said, one thing I will never, ever have to get up in front of anybody and apologize for, and I say it for everybody. Because if it's for me and I don't have to do it, then none of you should ever have to do it either. I will never, ever, ever have to get up in front of a person or an audience and apologize for the product quality that I have or the price that I have attached to the products. I said, you know, I can sit there and start spinning bottles. Some people look at it, oh man, that stuff's expensive. Really? Well, here, let me show you what you pay for through other national popular mainstream brands. And I mean, it's in the thousands for something that you pay $60, $70, $80 a bottle for. You'd be paying $10, $5, $3, $7,000. And I mean, we figured one up today. It was $6,844. You'd have to pay through that brand, and it's Enzymedica, by the way, to get the exact same thing that I have in $100 bottle. Today it's $109 full retail. $6,400 is what you'd pay to Enzymedica to get the exact same enzymes, the same activity, and the same capsule count that's in one of my $100 bottles. And I will not afraid with anybody that wants to challenge me on the quality, the price, the value for what you're getting in that bottle. I'm happy to turn that label every single time, anywhere on the face of this planet. Nobody gives a better deal than I do for the quality that's in that bottle. Nobody. Can't even come close. And we were even measuring HUTs to HUTs, activity to activity, methodology to methodology. And that's how miserable most of the nutrition industry fails. So I said, the only one you're getting cheated by is the stupid company called Enzymedica. Look at what a great value I'm giving you. And when I take the time, and this is good for all of you people that are out there marketing, even Dover on the internet, you guys should be talking about this stuff on the referral program. Don't ever be afraid to turn that label. I'm telling you, I've never, ever, ever been even close on one single label I've turned yet. Not one. Not at Walmart, not at Costco, not at Whole Foods or Amazon. Not one time has anybody even come close to giving a consumer what's in our bottle and the capsule count for anywhere near the price that we sell it for. And people should start talking about that. That is your marketing tool. And then you do that little oatmeal demonstration, there you go. End of story. Theirs can't even begin to break down that oatmeal over 70% of the time. It sits there and does absolutely nothing. Well, if you can't break that down, how's your body going to absorb it? Common sense, right there, boom. Takes you all of about 3-4 minutes, 5 at the most. So, but But yeah, we covered a lot. So hopefully that answered everything for you, James. And I appreciate you sharing your test on what you're going on personally with your own health with those cholesterol tests and stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. No, I appreciate you, and you know that, and I'm just so grateful that I've come across these sorts of products and sharing with others, because as you say, I can go to sleep knowing that what's in those products is second to none, and they work.
Well, the main thing is they work for you, and if they work for you, there's 99% chance they'll work for somebody else that you know. There's no such thing as 100% for everybody. I mean, I even lost a couple people to cancer. I really thought that I could probably save them, but there was a gal over in Alexandria, North Dakota. Can't remember what her name is now. My wife would remember. She really gets attached to those older people. And this gal was older. She was in her 70s. And she knew a lot of people here up at the lake where I live. This is a real tight-knit community up here, and that's how she was brought to me through one of my neighbors that was really good friends with her and her husband. And so I worked with her for about three and a half months, and she was really, really bad. She was to the point to where she couldn't walk anymore when she first met me. So she came into the training center in a wheelchair. That's how I met her. And I know I could have probably saved her if she would have gotten out of the way of the doctor. This doctor, her oncologist, was telling her, you cannot have more than a tablespoon of water a day. Who's going to live on a tablespoon of water? Basically, they're forcing her into hospice. He just didn't want to deal with it anymore. Made as much money as he could, and he's done with her. And I can't argue with a doctor. I'm not going to argue with a doctor. I just explained to her, you can't live like that. Your body needs half your body weight in ounces of water a day just to function cellularly. Anything less than that, you're dehydrated, and your efficiency of cell functioning goes down, starts to drop. So she's one that I lost, and then there was one other one. And I mean, I can think of at least 70 women. So I know of 2, possibly 3, because I haven't heard from her in about a year and a half. But she pops up every couple of years, so I don't know. I'm just waiting. And she's out of Florida. But everybody else, I know for a fact that I've saved them multiple times. They keep calling me, hey, my cancer's back. What do I do? I said, well, start buying the damn supplements and taking your enzymes. I'm telling you, you have to stay on this stuff the rest of your life, because when you go off, your body's going to go right back to the way it was functioning that allowed you to get cancer. So why, if you start to beat it once or twice, why are you messing around with this stuff? I guess your life doesn't mean that much to you, And like I said, it's not expensive at all for what you're getting in here. You're not going to change the world on a 90% plus basis with some cheap quality, low price product. It just doesn't happen. But the technology and the quality it's in are standardized ingredients. Most people don't even know what standardized means. It means it meets or exceeds 100% purity and potency for that ingredient, or the highest established purity and potency for that ingredient. Like ginkgo biloba, most companies out there, they have a 1610. We have a 2416 active properties in our ginkgo biloba. We're more than double that everybody else has out there that's supposedly high quality. But this is standardized. And you're never going to find a higher quality ingredient than standardized anywhere on this planet. It doesn't exist. That is the gold standard or the platinum standard of the world, standardized. Because it means every single milligram in that product or that batch has been tested to meet or exceed the stated potency. Yeah, go ahead, Dover.
So I've been waiting for this, and it just feels right, it feels appropriate, and this has been phenomenal information. Thank you. I don't know if you're able to see my screen. I'm going to put something up on the screen, and I just want to give a live example of what you're discussing, and I want you to educate us. So can anyone see my screen? What's on the screen for you that are watching tonight, listening?
Well, I'm actually on the phone number. I'm not on the Zoom number.
Okay, so you're not on. Okay, no, you're fine, Ron. So not at all. You're good. So I think that was Sanj. Sanj, are you online? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
The pure.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, perfect. So Ron, and I just want to make sure everyone can see it. So there's someone that I know that I work with actually, and they went to a naturopathic doctor, and they got a bottle of enzymes. And I was curious. I said, can I see that bottle of enzymes? And I have not done the oatmeal test. I'm going to do that probably next week because I'll be out in the next few days. But anyways, they're called Pure Encapsulation, and this is not to bash any other product line. This is just to, and you'll see where I'm going with this here in a minute. But it's Pure Encapsulation is digestive enzymes with ultra with betaine HCI. And and what I'd like to do is just, I'm going to switch pictures here, and I want to share with everybody and then have you speak a little bit about their servings and educate us compared to what we have with the Enriching Gifts product. So, are you with me, Ron?
Yep.
All right, so everybody online can see my screen right now. I know you're not seeing it right now, but Ron, I'm going to read it to you. So their proprietary enzyme blend is 391 milligrams.
Okay.
And they're providing first enzyme, which I believe breaks down carbs, is amylase, and it's 24,000 DU. D is in Dover.
Yeah, diastase unit. Diastase unit. Yeah, got it.
Okay. They have a protease.
Before you go anywhere
go ahead.
Wait. Before you go anywhere else, I want you to look at the serving size. That 1 capsule, 2 capsule, 3 capsule.
I was waiting for this. It's 2 capsules, and the servings per container is the servings per container is 45.
Okay, so
45
that's
capsules.
all I need to know. Right. Okay,
or
so that's 45
90 capsules rather.
Right? Well, write down 45 servings though. Because serving size is 1 capsule. So if it's per 2 capsules, you have to divide all those numbers that you just listed in half to get to a single serving comparison. Ours is per capsule.
Got it. Yeah, I'm with you.
I think on the internet it might be per 2 capsules or per 3 capsules now, but if you divide it all out by the 3, it's still per capsule, okay? Because I think on the bottle there was some FDA requirements that made me change it to, I think it's per 2 capsules. So anyway, but let's just remind us though, because I still remember the old numbers per capsule. So let's go and divide that number in half. So now they had what, 25,000?
24,000 DU of amylase, which is 12,000 obviously.
Okay. So that's 12,000 per capsule, right? Guess how much diastase units we have per capsule?
How much?
Do you have the internet? Do you have our internet pulled up?
Absolutely. And let me just do that really quick.
Right. Just do a direct comparison right off of our 1-to-1 capsule.
Yep. All right. Give me a second. Sandra, are you still seeing my the supplement, or are you seeing the Enriching Gift website that I'm on right now?
I'm seeing your supplement. I'm seeing the nutritional supplement.
Perfect. All right, I'll switch it here in just a second. All right, bear with me. Products. Plant enzymes. All right. So now I'm going to stop share. Talk to me. I'm going to share screen. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this here. And then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this. This here. All right, now, I thought now, but 1 second.
And while you're doing that stuff and everything, and then you notice that they don't list the source of the enzymes. They just go by activities. So it tells you nothing about the temperature range in which that enzyme is going to function. It doesn't tell you anything about the pH parameter factors that that enzyme blend is going to function within. And I do the same thing, so I'm not going to fault them for that. But I'm just saying that's things that the consumer will never, ever know, partly because it's part of the trade secret in the development industry. But I can tell you, wait till we're all done, and then I'm going to go back and ask a couple more questions at the very beginning of this. But let's go through the enzymes one by one and do a comparison.
All right, here we go. So, Sanj, tell me what you're seeing now. Are they side by side for you?
They are side by side, yes.
Okay, perfect. So, Ron, on the left side of the screen, we have the Enriching Gifts website with the plant enzymes, the 270 count.
Right.
And then on the right side of the screen, we have, and I'm going to blow it up so everyone can see it. Give me just a second here. We have the another enzyme. I don't even remember the name, Pure or something like that. So,
anyway,
amylase, 24,000 DU, servings 2 capsule. On the website, it says each 300 milligram capsule contains the following standardized ingredient with no filler of any kind. So amylase, which is the second ingredient listed on this.
First of all,
go ahead.
Wait. Let me back up. First of all, there's no such thing as standardized for any enzyme product. Doesn't exist.
Okay.
So they're actually using a popular term, standardized, because I've been really preaching and banging on this. But I've always told people, with the exception of our enzyme product, because there is no such thing as standardized amylase, protease, this. So they're already misleading their consumer right there. There's no such thing as standardized enzymes anywhere on the planet. Doesn't exist. That only applies to raw material ingredients, like algae, like hard algae, like the astaxanthin, like aloe max, like polysaccharides, like vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A. Any nutrient can and usually comes in some kind of a standardized form, because you can actually measure the actual quality and the purity of those products. Enzymes aren't measured by purity. They're all measured by activity. So standardized doesn't apply to an enzyme. And I've said that for 30 years. I've always tried to educate and differentiate that simple little point. So when they say that contains standardized, well, is this a network marketing company, by the way? Because it sounds like it is. Already, they're misleading.
No, I don't believe so, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, anyway, that's an incorrect statement. So now let's go on.
So amylase digest carbohydrates, 12,000 DUs. That's Enriching Gifts product.
That's their half, right? And that's
correct.
What they have, 1,000 per capsule.
They have 24,000 in 2 capsules or 12. Yes, correct.
Right.
Now protease, they have 60,000 HUT in 2 capsules, which means 30,000 HUT per capsule.
Okay.
Enriching Gifts has 130,500 HUT per capsule. That's amazing.
Right.
The discrepancy.
Yeah, well, what did you just say? We're at over 4 times higher on the number one most important ingredient in any enzyme formula, proteases.
Right.
And they measured HUT, so their methodology of activity is the same as ours. So now, how much does that bottle cost for 30 capsules?
I believe it was 33 or 35 bucks.
Okay, and
so
that's
35 times 4 is $140 bottle. Yeah.
Right. And that's just one ingredient. We're still at the
correct.
Same when you break it down to ours, amylase to amylase. So, okay, let's go on.
Cellulase, 375 CA for Enriching Gifts. Cellulase on their product, 800 CU. So what's the difference between CA and CU? Okay.
Well, cellulase activity or cellulase units, they're just, ours is listed in activity, their list units the same. Now here, let me explain to you why that's a problem. Because theirs is higher than mine, which is, they have 800, so it's actually 400. And ours is how much?
375.
So they're still 25% higher than us. So they're really not that much difference, but you don't want to go any higher than 400. Because that'll give you diarrhea, and you're not supposed to break down your fiber. Otherwise, you're not getting the scraping and the cleansing effect of the GI tract with the mucosal plaque buildup. You're liquefying your fiber, so you don't have any of that hard scraping material to scrape your GI tract clean with. So the higher you go on the cellulase, actually, the worse off you're going to be, because there is no nutritional content in fiber of any kind. Fiber is not meant to be broken down, but amylase, or the cellulase, is the enzyme that breaks down fiber. So you want to break it down to where you get the nutritional value from the food source, because where's all the food? And what's the leftover byproduct after digestion's done? Fiber. So you want to be able to have enough to break down the fiber, but you don't or release the nutrients from the fiber in the food source, but you don't want to break down the fiber to the point to where it's liquefied. And you start getting up above 400, and you're starting to liquefy the fiber, so you no longer have that scraping, cleansing ability from the fiber in your food anymore. So so we're pretty close to about the same there. So the next one, let's go on.
Like I said, so that was cellulase. Go ahead.
Before we go through any of this, I just want to remind everybody, the most important ingredient in any enzyme formula is the protease. That's the one you always want to look at, always. Now let's go ahead and keep continuing.
Okay, so lipase, Enriching Gifts, 750 LU. Lipase, this other brand, 3000 FIP.
Okay, now that's, you see LU, which is lipase units, and FIP, that's the FIPS standard, which is going to be a much higher number, just like bromelain. We have like 5 GUs, which is the new standard that says the FDA has to measure any kind of polysaccharides that come from any kind of a product, whether it's shark cartilage or aloe vera or any other polysaccharide source, has to be listed in GUs. So we do that, but other companies still go by the old Papain, and so you see 20,000, 50,000, all that other stuff. We used to have 20,000 bromelain units, but 20,000 went to 5 GUs for the exact same ingredient, same activity and everything. And FIPS, you're almost at 5 times higher number when you use the FIPS methodology of establishment versus the CUs. So that's actually not even as high as what we have. But like I said, when you start comparing HUTs to HUTs, DUs to DUs, the same methodology, very few people are going to even come close to ours. So anyway, that's
sure.
And I'm pretty sure it's a 3.7 to 1 conversion. So if you take their number and divide that by 3.7,
that's about right.
Yeah, we're going to come out a little bit higher than theirs, actually quite a bit higher. But anyway, lipase is important. Yeah, lipase is important. But now let's go down to the next one. Well, I love that
next
we're doing
one,
this.
Go ahead, Ron.
I said I love that we're doing this because it's important that people know what the heck we have versus everybody else out there. And we sent letters out last year to 3 different companies. I think James is aware of one from Australia that claimed they had the highest activity enzyme product in the world. We actually sent a letter to them. We sent to one in Canada, and we sent one to Finland. There's nobody in the world that has a higher activity of protease enzymes than I do, or an overall formula. They just don't have the technology to concentrate. And like I said, how many milligrams are you taking of that one? 300 and what?
91 in 2 capsules.
391
so technically 145 and a half per capsule.
Right. And what do we have now today? 300 milligrams.
300 per capsule.
I used to have
double
400.
That. Yeah.
I used to have 400 25 years ago. But our technology, we can concentrate down and increase the activity with less milligrams of blend. And that's another place where I lead the entire world. You have to use a lot more milligrams to get anywhere near what I have in such a small milligram dosage.
Right.
So, okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay, so sucrase, digestive sugar, Enriching Gifts, 150 FCC. And unless I'm missing something, I find they don't even have a sucrase enzyme in their blend. They have amylase, protease 6.0, glucomylase, lactase, lipase, beta-glucanase, invertase, cellulase, alpha-galactosidase, protease 3.0, phytase, and hermicellulase.
It's called hemocellulase. It's an enzyme for the blood.
Hemocellulase. Okay, perfect.
Hemocellulase,
See? We can all just expose ourselves. I don't know all this stuff either. I'm here to learn with everybody else, so this is awesome. All right, next one, Ron, is maltase. So they don't have sucrase, obviously. Maltase, digest starches.
Well, again, it should be called malt diastase. Is the actual proper term for it, but maltase is okay. It's a
or invertase.
Invertase is another one. That's the one that I always talk about that breaks down the gluten proteins in all of your gluten products. That's the lacking of that enzyme invertase is what caused celiac sprue disease and gluten intolerance.
And I'm not saying they do not have any of that in their blend. The next one, and you spoke about this earlier on the call, is lactase, which digests the lactose in dairy products or the sugars.
Yep.
And lactase in the Enriching Gift product is 750 FCC, and in the lactase blend with the other company is 1,600 ALU.
Okay, so again, 1,600. You have to divide that in half. So you're 800.
800,
Right, and what are we at?
750 FCC versus 800 ALU.
Yeah, I'm not even
1,600
sure
for two capsules. Yeah.
I don't even know what ALU
and then
is.
Yeah. And then they have galactosidase in their blend. I thought was interesting, but galactosidase breaks down intestinal gas is 22 milligrams per capsule, and in their alpha galactosidase is 120 GALUs, galactose units, right? So, and that's 60 units per capsule versus 22 milligrams per capsule. So interesting.
Well,
and then bromelain, Ron, go ahead.
Yep. No, go ahead and finish.
No, I was going to say, and then that bromelain, the protease anti-inflammatory, 30,000 FCC, and I do not see bromelain at all listed in their product. And then I think, I know another area that separates us from the rest of the pack in the world is the proprietary blend of the. Go ahead.
They don't have bromelain in their product?
I do not see bromelain listed anywhere in their product, no.
Just so everybody knows, bromelain is another protease that has nothing to do with the 132,000. That's a separate entry. But bromelain is really, really important because it breaks down the thrombin, which actually is released as a inflammatory protein. So you're able to break down inflammation with bromelain. All of the Olympic athletes I met in Colorado with the U.S. Olympic ski team about 2-3 years ago, and they had already heard about bromelain. I said, wow, well, that's great. Then you all know the benefits of that. And, oh, yeah, you can speed up recovery. You're less likely to be injured because it breaks down inflammation. And if you have a lot of bromelain circulating in your blood, your body can't even create an inflammatory process. So that enzyme is being used by especially bodybuilders and athletes to kind of try to circumvent steroid use. As your body, even though it'll block it from producing the inflammation process, which allows you to stay in the gym and rip your body down further and heavier so you rebuild bigger and bigger like a steroid, this actually breaks down and digests the protein as it's being produced. So you don't have any of the side effects like steroid use with bromelain, and yet you get the same anti-inflammatory benefit to stay in the gym longer and go through a workout or your activity like football, baseball, basketball for much longer periods of time before inflammation sets in. So that's why I have it. It's critically important for everybody. You think about your own body as you get older. They talk about the aches and the pains. Well, you have a whole lot less of them if you take our product because that's what that's in there for, the bromelain, to break down inflammation and even try to limit it. It's its own natural ability to create itself. Now, you were just ready to bring up the most all-important thing, Dover. Where's the minerals in that formula?
They don't have any.
I'm dying to hear them, buddy. Yeah, and that's the problem.
I don't see any.
It's a huge problem, and that's why most enzymes don't work. I've always said there's no such thing as a bad enzyme. I don't care where it comes from. All enzymes can do their job. They're just bad formulators that don't know the first thing about what the hell they're doing, pardon my language, but I get really irritated as hell because I have to suffer the consequences when I'm in front of doctors. Oh, yeah, I've heard this crap a dime a dozen, this and that, and on, or in front of a natural consumer. Oh, I've tried enzymes before. I've tried a whole bunch. None of them work. There's a reason why. There's just bad manufacturers and really bad formulators don't know the first thing about what they're doing. Nature doesn't exist without minerals. Enzymes won't work without minerals. Don't believe me? Go ahead and take all the minerals out of a grass or a seed. You can go get heirloom tomatoes, heirloom lettuce, heirloom, I don't care, organic, anything you want to do. Put it in distilled water, see if it'll grow. It'll collect the seed. It might grow a sprout, maybe a half-inch tall. It'll never grow a leaf, never ever root in that water. Don't believe me? Try it. I've been doing this for decades. Never found it to work once. And all of those enzymes they have out in the market that don't have minerals in them, enzymes don't work without minerals. And do you think your body has the minerals that it's going to take to activate all those different enzymes that are in that capsule? No way. Don't believe me. Go to Senate document 1968, issued in National Congress by the Department of Agriculture, stating that the human diet is severely deficient in minerals because there aren't any minerals in the soil anymore because of topsoil erosion, because of the weather, because of the climate, because of the climate change. This was in 1968. This was issued on the Senate of the United States. The human body is severely mineral deficient. That's why your enzymes don't work. That's why your body's not efficient in functioning as what it does. It's not because of age so much or this or that. We have a very deficient diet. Deficient in minerals, deficient in enzymes, deficient in the ability to digest what you consume. That only gets worse and worse and worse genetically as we all age. So there's some real simple factors here, but that's the number one flaw I see in the entire enzyme industry, with just about 95% of every bottle I've ever looked at that's sold through a department store, a network marketing company, or through a retail outlet. None of those formulas have minerals. In fact, all three companies that I had to send legal notices and letters to, saying that you're not even close to the enzyme activity that Enriching has, take your site down or I'll sue you for false advertisement, and I'll turn you into the Federal Trade Commission for misleading the consumers. We sent out 3 of those letters in 2019. So I'm building a brand. I'm building a business. I've spent tens of millions of dollars doing this. I'm not going to let anybody come and stomp on my business when it comes to enzymes. Nobody. And just like I just got done saying, you start dividing all those enzymes out. Some of them are pretty close to ours. But the most important thing, and I said this right at the very beginning, is the protease enzyme. And nobody even comes close to ours. And that's the one thing that will compromise your immune system's ability to function the worst. Out of all the other enzymes we just named, the fiber, the fats, the lactose, all that other stuff, nothing will compromise your immune system worse than undigested meat, flesh, protein. That's protease enzymes. And again, you could have all the activity in the world, you could have the better sources of enzymes, but if you don't put back in the minerals that enzyme source came from, then you're not going to have enzymes activating once they're consumed. And that's why there's such a hit and a miss, and why enzymes got forgot about in the whole nutrition industry for decades. And I'm telling you, I'm going to keep this thing going and going until enzymes are the number one selling supplement worldwide, or I'm going to die first. One or the other is going to happen. Because it makes no sense to be consuming a meal or supplements or protein powders or anything else unless your body has the ability to digest it. If you don't have enzymes, all you did is just ingested toxicity that's going to compromise your health rather than contribute to the quality of your health. Those are facts. That's just not talking points. Those are all facts. So I'm glad we did.
Hey, Ron,
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been waiting to do this for a while, and I'm just wetting your whistle because I'm waiting for 10 days and we'll give you a little bit more, but there's a lot of more of this that we need to do to get this out there, because you're right. I'm with you, until either we die or till enzymes is the number one planet on the product or product on the face of the earth. But could you just tell for everyone, we had a question, what does HUT stand for again, please?
Hemoglobin units as tyrosine. It's broken down into a specific amino acid, and that's the ability to break down a protein source to an amino acid level, which is assimilatable by the human cell. So it's hemoglobin units as tyrosine in the blood. And that's the end product that enzyme activity will, how much enzyme activity does it take to make an amino acid yield that's measurable in the blood. That's HUT. That's the methodology of determining enzyme activity for most protease enzymes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a very rich, fruitful call. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Anybody have any questions, by the way, on the call that we just went over all of this? Anybody have any questions about what we just talked about?
Yeah, Ron, if you don't mind, it's Joe Bandelos. I just have a quick question.
Yeah,
We're with my son and his girlfriend, and we always listen. Quick question is in reference to a clearer mind. What's good to like a nootropic or something that helps clear the mind?
Well, are you talking about fuzziness or memory recall? Because there's a difference.
Both, actually. So memory recall and also memory retention.
Clarity of thought?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, there's ginkgo biloba. That's well known because that actually increases blood flow, which usually increases oxygenation to the brain. The enzymes, because they're going to increase oxygenation to the entire bloodstream and wherever that goes. And then you have several other nutrients specifically for the parts of the brain that are involved in memory. Astaxanthin is a real high antioxidant that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Or I'm sorry, the Metabolic Complete has the pine bark extract that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Because part of the reason why parts of the memory, part of the brain die off is through oxidation. It's because of lack of antioxidants and their ability to cross beyond the blood-brain barrier to get to the inner brain. Your body is extremely selective. About the only thing it lets pass to get over there is an array of amino acids and glycogen, which is actually a sugar. It's for most cells. It's the very, very end product. It's cellular metabolism for the cells that are involved in use of sugar for their cellular function. And glycogen, sugar, is about 80% of the functionality of the brain on a daily basis. It's the highest consumer of sugar in the human body is the brain. And then you have the amino acids that make up all the tissue of all tissues and even organ tissue, which is the brain. Then you have the amino acids, and that's basically all there is involved in brain activity and functioning. And then you also have some minerals for neurotransmitters, for the firing nerves and the different aspects of the neurological aspect of the brain. So you've got some minerals, you've got the amino acids, and then you got glycogen, which is actually the nutrient source for the brain outside of amino acids.
Yeah.
So,
I did have a question. What are your thoughts on like fungi, like mushrooms and everything? Because I heard as far as a nootropic, I heard lion's mane is a pretty good one as far as like memory recall and also brain.
Well, again,
retention.
mushrooms are one of those root vegetables that have a lot of minerals in them.
Yeah.
They contain a lot of water, but mushrooms are mainly fungi, but they have a lot of minerals because they're root-based vegetables. And I mean, all you have to do is plant them in dirt, any kind of dirt anywhere, and you're going to be able to grow fungus. But they can't grow without those minerals. That's why you always have to plant them in dirt. I've never seen a hydroponic mushroom anywhere in my life. They're always planted in dirt trays, and then they kind of grow from there. Mm-hmm. But they need a lot more than just water. They need a lot of minerals. And those because they're in a lot of minerals, and they grow very quickly, they're able to absorb a lot of minerals. So that's one place that one of the properties of mushrooms, like reishi mushroom or any other kind of a fungus-based food like a mushroom, that's one of the reasons why they have such high properties, is because of the high mineral content of them.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I was curious because like, I have a lot of problems as far as like focusing, memory retention. You know, I haven't really been diagnosed with anything like serious like ADHD or OCD or any of those types, but that's because
Right.
I haven't gone to the doctor to check it out, but I do notice that within myself, I do get distracted very easily. I do get off track. I will probably wind up procrastinating, and then I wound up taking, I think it was Keto Krill. I wound up taking Keto Krill, which had creatine in it. And the problem
Right.
was that my body has an allergy to shellfish. So over a period of time, I noticed slight reactions. But also in that period of time, I noticed that my memory recall, I was able to just remember things, and I was able to just act and just get things done more than average. And I was really taken away by the results of that, really.
Well, like I said, the three things that I always think of when you come to any kind of brain functioning, whether it's neurological, whether it's depression, whether it's chemical imbalance, whether it's memory recall, things like that, I always go to one, amino acids. That's the primary food that actually develops and maintains brain tissue. Two, oxygenation. You can increase oxygenation and you'd be amazed at what it can do for memory clarity and recall and things like that. So you have the amino acids, then you have the oxygenation, and the digestive enzymes will optimize oxygenation in anybody's blood. You go get one of those little oximeters. They're really cheap. They're about $20, $30 in any Walmart, Costco, anything like that. You can go buy one of those. That's that little thing you clip on your index finger. It's got a little battery operated to it. And you can literally just push a button and see where your nascent or your circulating oxygen level is. At any given time, before meal, after meal, all that stuff. I travel in my bus and my motorhome, and when I'm out on my lecture tour and stuff, I actually use that thing on almost every single client.
Wow.
And I do that, and then I do that to show them to sit in a chair, take these three enzymes, take about 2 to 3 ounces of water. I don't want to dilute your blood or influence your blood with water in any way, shape, or form. So just take enough to just swallow the capsules, let you sit here, and wait a half hour. It usually takes a half hour, 40 minutes, and I can take people that have blood and the nascent oxygen levels from about 87 up to 92, 93, and go right up to 99 to 100% in less than 40 minutes.
Wow.
Every single. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, well, like I said, I don't only just say this stuff. I developed the oatmeal test. I developed the oximeter. I developed the pee on the urine. I didn't develop it, but I use it. Here, go take a pee on your urine, test your alkalinity. Now go ahead and take these enzymes for a week, do the exact same thing, flip from the same diet, and you'll see your pH changes tremendously. And if it doesn't, then I can put you on our oral calcium, and literally you can see a difference in that in as little as 24 hours.
Wow.
Because that neutralizes acidity and forces the pH of the body to go up. So those are just some of the things that I developed. I don't want to just say it. I don't want to become the salesman like Dr. Wallach, where he's slapping his stick and bashing the medical community. Sounds really educated, sounds really good, and then find out he's nothing but a big fat fraud. He was never a doctor. He was a veterinarian. And there's a reason why he lost his entire life when he was living in Montana. His Chinese wife left him and divorced him. Once all of this stuff started being discovered after he made this real famous tape called Dead Doctors Don't Lie, well, then the truth came out about him. And living ones like Dr. Wallach sure as hell lied like crazy, too. You don't have to be dead, they'll be a liar. He proved that. And it's just one of the most poorly, when it comes to real, accurate, precise information and education value, that tape was one of the worst things ever released to the general public. Because there's so many mistakes, errors, and nothing but BS in that thing. It was unreal. And I can't even believe he's still around with a network marketing company that's somewhat notable and somewhat successful. And he's still
who is that? Doctors don't lie.
Dead doctors don't lie. Colloidal minerals. Colloidal minerals were a bunch of bunk. That was printed right on the bulletin little V board outside of a booth in Salt Lake City from Elmer Heinrich, who owns a company called Rockland Minerals, and then T.J. Clark from the T.J. Clark mine out of Monroe, Utah. There's only 3 or 4 places or companies in the world that most people get their minerals from. And then the other one is Hartley Anderson's, Linus Pauling's grandson, who's actually in partners with Hartley Anderson and John Morrow. And I know John Morrow personally. And that's where the Northwest Naturopathic College is. He's the main funding source for that out of, I believe it's out of Washington. I knew his whole family from down in Mesa, Arizona. They're Mormons, and I've known them when I lived down there in the early to mid 80s. So I go way, way, way back, even beyond starting up my own company. But getting back to what you're talking about, these companies that are out there and all this other stuff, like Joel Wallach, colloidal minerals. Well, Elmer Heinrich had it right on his booth. Colloidal minerals, a bunch of bunk. I've been railing on this for decades. There's no use for the word colloidal anything when you want to talk about the ability to absorb, transfer, or assimilate at a cellular level of the human body. That term colloidal doesn't apply because the Princess ship floating on the Atlantic Ocean is a colloidal substance. Colloidal means to be a particle size small enough to be suspended in solution. What does mean suspended? Anything off the bottom or the floor is suspended. It's suspended, and if you're talking about water, floating is suspended on top because it's not on the bottom. So even floating. So by that description, and I went to Webster's Dictionary in one hand and the Biological Guide to Earthly Elements in the other hand, which is the most referenced biological guide to elements on the planet Earth, scientifically, had that in the right hand, and I said, now you tell me what you want to do. You want to listen to a guy that's a complete moron and an idiot? I was escorted out of his seminar in Billings, Montana at Rocky College by the police. They called the police on me because I wouldn't leave. You're not going to come into my home state and in a city 150 miles away from me and perpetuate lies like he was telling and get away with it. No way in hell. And over 90% of his audience walked right, and he had hundreds of people. They walked right out the door right after me. I said, you go peddle your crap someplace else, but you ain't going to get away with it in Montana. We got backbones out here, and I stand up for the truth. So that was my experience with him several decades ago. That was even before I moved to Honolulu, Hawaii, before I even had my own label. That's back when I was private labeling in the real early 90s. So, yeah, and I ran into him in Florida at another seminar, and I don't have anything good to say about the guy. He's about as quacky and wacky as everybody he claims to want to bash in the medical community. He lost all credibility with me, 100%.
Wow.
And he even had the gall. At one time I was out in Wisconsin doing my lecture tour. One of his distributors, his real big distributors, came to my seminar and wanted to get me on the phone. He says he'd like to buy your company. I said, sure he would. I wouldn't let any of my I wouldn't let any of my customers or distributors go anywhere near that guy. I do everything I could to protect them from him. There's nothing there behind those black eyes of his, but they look just like a shark, and it's all about the money. It's not about truth. It's not about education. It's not about a higher quality standard of products. I just, like I said, I'm done because my mama said, you know, something good to say about it, don't say anything at all. So I'm done. I said my piece, and I'm done. So there's a few things that can get me riled up on these calls. But anyways, that's that. So I'm done.
Well, thank you.
But that's the three things I would look at, really, is your amount of protein you're consuming, because that's going to compromise your blood worse than anything. But you're at such a young age. What are you, in your 20s?
Yeah, I'm actually 26.
Right, that's what I thought. So you're way too young to be having all of these issues with mental clarity and all this kind of stuff. But it's always oxygenation. It's always going to go back to the digestion. Digestion, especially meat flesh consumption, is going to directly impair your ability to absorb and utilize oxygen from the red blood cell level.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't curious because I mentioned my autoimmune disease, the immunoglobulin syndrome, and I wasn't sure if memory or because I've been on so much prednisone in the past, or I've taken an inhaler for so long, or all of these.
Well, let's stop. Right. So let's go back to your inhaler. So what is that? If you got to use an inhaler, it's because your body is being restricted from oxygenating and in the lung capacity.
Yeah.
There's
And then not only
vessels
that, but the inhaler is made out of alcohol, which I really want to avoid putting in my body.
Blood. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll damage your tissues as well as dehydrate your body, just like alcohol from beer or whiskey or anything else will. You walk around feeling like you're about half dazed from a hangover half time and got some mild pain like a hangover. That's what dehydration of the blood comes from, whether it's from these drugs or whether it's from alcohol. Anything that has alcohol in it is going to affect the body in a negative, adverse way. There's no positives from alcohol. Other than, I did talk to one old guy over in Mandan, North Dakota one time. It was one of my brothers, I guess it would be my sister-in-law's uncles. And he was 103 years old, and I sat down with him. I was just a teenager at the time. But I'll never forget this because I was about 17, 18, so I was half serious. I said, "Why do you think you've lived so long?" He said, "Well, I got two things that I do every day, and I've done them for most of my whole life." And he says, you really seriously want to know? And he was drunk when he was talking to me. He said, "I'm going to tell you, everybody talks about all these bacteria and viruses and stuff. Well, I drink at least a shot of Jack Daniels 3 times a day, at least." And he said, "Then you notice this vodka over here, I have this for a nightcap almost every night." I said, "The whole bottle?" He said, "Well, not maybe all of it, but probably half of it. That way I get a great night's sleep." And he said that also, I noticed that you can kill off anything with alcohol. It's in the rubbing alcohol swabs. So he says if I kill the bacteria, the viruses, everything that's on my countertop, should be good to kill it all off of my body too.
Oh my God.
So he says I take alcohol and he's smoking his big old cigars and he says, "Yep, and if the alcohol don't kill them, they're going to suffocate with as much smoke that I put into my body over the decades." He said, "I'm thinking that's what keeps me alive to 103. I plan to live to 110, and after that, I don't care because I won't be able to walk anymore."
How long did he live up to?
He reminded me like that old Yul Brynner. He was looked like that and stuff. But he was just a kick in the pants. He was the funniest man I ever talked to. And I'll never forget that. I mean, I couldn't have been more than 17, 18 years old in that conversation. So we're going back 40-some years.
How old do you think
remember, just like he was sitting there. I remember what he was wearing. I remember the rocking chair he was in. I remember the red and white kind of a checkerboard. Looked almost like a picnic thing, but it was out of yarn. He had that on the back as a little shawl. I mean, he was just funny as the dickens. And he was about half right, I think. I mean, alcohol is you think about it, sterilizes everything else. Why wouldn't it kill bacteria in your body if you're an alcoholic? But of course, we all know about the damage to the organs and everything else. It dehydrates the blood, so your body functioning goes way down. I mean, it's nothing I'd advocate for anybody, but in this moment, I just remembered that. I just thought that was the funniest dang thing.
What's actually
and he was
funny
in really
is,
good health.
Not the first time I've heard that. I've heard that when somebody drank whiskey too, but I can understand red wine because it has all the antioxidants, but I don't understand the whiskey. But I guess it's just strong alcohol that kills everything.
Yeah, that's what he was laughing about. And then he was smoking those cigars up that whole little family room was just plumb hazed with smoke. He says, "Well, if the alcohol don't kill them, they'll suffocate from all the smoke."
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your input and the information.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, always when you think about energy and oxygen with brain fog and stuff like that, go back to the oxygen level. What is going on with your ability to oxygenate? You know, if you've got asthma, you got those atomizers or breathalyzers or any of that kind of stuff. Where you have to actually have steroids put in there to expand your arteries and breathe again. So it's almost always going to be connected to lack of oxygen when you start talking about brain fogginess or real bad memory recall. If it persists and you've actually done that oximeter, you're at 100% with that thing, 99, 98% anyway, all the time when you test, then you start looking for nutritional deficiencies. Specific nutrients, amino acids mostly, but there are a couple of minerals as well that trigger neurons. Iron is one of them. Trying to think of the other one that's one of your major electrolytes, calcium. Calcium is the most widely used mineral in the human body, by the way, if people don't know that. There's over 432 metabolic functioning activities linked that the only thing that causes that activity and enzyme cascade is calcium. So, but always look to your oxygen first, because 90% of the time plus, that's going to be it. Because people, they're stressed, and then they just so stressed, they got all this inflammation, which is restricting and slowing blood flow. That's going to affect your brain's ability to function as well. And then you've got your diet, you're too much protein, and you just genetically you're deficient in specific protease enzymes that break down muscle tissue flesh. So now your muscle tissue flesh is getting in the bloodstream, incompletely digested, coating up all your red blood cells. Rob or Joe, he can show you this in the microscope, where you get the severe conglomerate aggregated state of red blood cells called erythrocyte aggregation. And that really compromises your oxygen. That alone can drop oxygen percentages by 8 to 10%, just from your food not being digested fully. So,
what about like stress? Does stress affect your oxygen levels at all?
Absolutely. Stress constricts your vessels. Stress restricts blood flow and anything that's in the blood. Oxygen's in the blood, nutrients in. So it's going to slow down and restrict all of that from being delivered in a timely and efficient manner. That's why they call stress the silent killer. It slowly degrades your body's ability to function efficiently because it's robbing it of necessary nutrients through acceptable and efficient blood flow. Stress is it is the biggest underlying factor of all diseases, illness, immune system suppression, and poor quality of health. Chronic daily low levels to mid levels of chronic inflammation caused by stress.
Yeah.
There's emotional
and
stress,
fear.
Metabolic.
And fear is a very big additive.
Well, fear creates anxiety, which in turn, fear creates anxiety. Anxiety creates stress. Yeah. It's all going to come back to stress, is that underlying little culprit that's linked to just about everything. And that's why I said, when you take these enzymes, there's, like I say, there's 6 different protease strains in there. There's 4 that are alkaline, 2 that are acid. They mainly only work in the acid pH of the stomach. They don't get into the bloodstream. There's 4 that do. And one of those specifically is designed to break down all 3 of the proteins I just named: fibrin, thrombin, and chondroitin. Those are the 3 proteins your body creates for various applications. All 3 together create scar tissue. Wow. Fibrinogen is the form that's created because of lack of oxygenation, lack of circulation. Wherever you see red blood cells overlapping, conglomerated together, you're going to see more and more fibrinogen presence, which are those black sketchy lines in the background of the blood. Yep. And then thrombin, that's actually a protein that's used up as part of the healing process, like a platelet.
What are the proteins called again?
There's thrombin, thrombin, thrombin. There's fibrinogen, just like it sounds, and then there's chondroitin. And you've seen all the supplements with chondroitin and glucosamine in it.
You know something, Ron? Years ago when I was in Hawaii, I had friends that used to come over, and I would do the microscope with them, and I'd have them, again, fast the night before, and the next day they'd come over, and I would do their blood, and I'd have them take just one enzyme, and about 20 minutes later, half hour later, 80% of the fibrinogens would be gone, and they were floored every time.
Well, you know what? If you would have gave them 3, 100% of that fibrinogen would be gone in less than a half hour. 100%. There's nowhere it's not even present. That's what I used to do over at Audrey Fu's Lanai over on the canal there in Honolulu, over in Hawaii Kai. I'd always go and I just pay her a percentage off each blood screening I did. I had this beautiful setting, this big old kind of a deck that went out right over the canal and stuff. And I do my blood screenings out there every day. And that's all I do is I just give them 3 enzymes. Their blood looked like crap. I'm like, okay, why aren't you taking this? I said, have I ever done a before and after for you? And I said, you didn't eat anything this morning, right? Well, yeah, I did. I said, why'd you do that? You weren't supposed to eat anything 4 hours prior to coming in here. Because if they just eat a meal within 5 hours, you can't do this test. All you're going to do is put more junk into the blood because it's just that they're not even digested up until that blood test point.
Right.
But if they don't eat, they come in there, their blood's all sticky and everything, just give them 2 or 3 enzymes and give them a little bit of water. Within a half hour, 45 minutes, it's completely gone and it won't come back until the next time they eat a meal. Wow, does that motivate people? Now you can actually see, well, you saw what your blood looked like when we first started. You've seen what your blood looks like now. And to reinforce that, and you heard me talk about this in the training, look at the color change and the texture of wetness change in the blood after you give somebody an enzyme, before and after. When you stick their blood to take their specimen and put it up on the microscope, notice that real dark, deep color, just solid, sticky. There's no wet shine on that blood. It looks like it's dead. And then you see all the crap on the screen. And then the next time after you give them some enzymes, half hour, 45 minutes later, you pull the blood out again and you haven't eaten anything, you haven't done anything other than take 3 enzyme capsules. The color is not deep, dark, black cherry red that's got a dull, if any, kind of shine to it. It's a real vibrant, pinkish red. I mean, like a fire engine red. And it's clear. It's got a real heavy shine to it. It almost reflects, it looks really, really watery and wet. And then you put that on the screen, okay, now you know that there's going to be nothing but flying red blood cells everywhere once you put it on the screen. And there's no spicular stress, there's no inflammation. And I teach all you guys this in these microscope trainings that I used to do. It's very, very easy to, and that's the one thing that propelled me to my level of success that I've had and enjoyed. Not just thanking God, but because of all the work I've put into this company and my career over the last 30 years. That's why I've been so successful, because I don't just say it. I've developed different demonstrations and ways of proving what I'm telling you. I can prove it. Give me 45 minutes of your time. Won't even charge you for your first blood screening. I just want to show you what your life can look like. And then after you, it's up to you. You got to make the choice to maintain it or do anything about it. I'll just show you I have what you need. After that, it's all up to you, and what you do is what you do. I don't care one way or the other. But I'll show you I have the best stuff in the world, and you're never going to waste a penny by using my product line. And I'll prove it. I'll take your blood today. I'll take your blood 3 months from now. I'll take your blood a year from now. And I never, ever, ever want to ever do anybody's blood more than 3 times. I don't care if you've done it once, three times in 3 years. And I don't even care if you've done it 10 years ago. If you stay on this stuff and you do what you see is very effective to improve and keep that bloodstream just perfection, you do this and you'll have a great quality of life. I don't care what comes across your path. But if you don't do it consistently, then you're putting yourself at risk of an up and a down immune system ability to function. And all it takes is one time that your immune system is compromised from a poorly digested meat, flesh meal to come in contact with a bacteria, virus, or a fungus. It'll just literally progress in your body so fast. Wow, where did that come from? Boy, did that destroy my health. It's kind of like the burns on my feet, walking on my deck where I got third-degree burns on both bottom of my feet. Just one stupid moment like that in less than 5 minutes, and my whole life has changed for the rest of my life. I can barely even walk anymore. And that's just from something that happened. So that's what I'm just saying. That 5 minutes, whether it's your immune system, whether it's just happen to be in a wrong environment, the wrong time, nobody ever dies from a disease. I can't stress that enough. And I used to talk about this all the time. About 15 years up till now, I haven't said a word. I don't even think I said it in Cancun. But when I was private labeling, I said it all the time. There's not one single human being or an animal that dies from a disease. They all die from a compromised immune system. That's what kills the human body. When you lose the ability to protect you from the things that are going to be deadly or harmful to the human body, that's when disease has a chance to become a part of your life. But it only has a chance because of a compromised immune system. And there's several things that compromise an immune system. Aging, poor diet, lack of enzyme production as we age, stress. Like I said, you come in contact with Ebola or COVID-19, just the wrong environment at the wrong time, even for a few minutes. All this stuff can compromise your immune system. But nobody ever died from a disease. Every single death can be tracked back to a compromised immune system. Every time. So that's why I always focused, and that's why I became an immunoenzymologist. I knew at a very young age that the key to success and health was an efficient functioning immune system. And not just increasing the efficiency, but now we have the ability to increase the overall size of the immune system. Create a Hercules where nothing's ever been created like that before. We have a product line that'll do that. So that's kind of where I want to end it tonight. We've been on this well over an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. So great call. We usually don't get this long into a call. So it's been a really good call tonight. Anybody else have one last question or comment real quick? And then I'll let Dover close us out. Yeah.
I do. And there's someone on listening that, and I know we've been on, but if you could just, take 3-4 minutes and take however long it takes. But so the individual, you spoke to him before he had Bell's palsy, and we thought that it went to another side of his body. And then he had a hospital stay. He just had a procedure done on his head, both sides. And and then specifically, he's diabetic. But I just wanted to do something with him yesterday, and it was regarding the enzymes and him checking his blood sugar levels. And I don't think that I did it right. And so my question is,
wait a second. Wait. Before you said you don't do it, raise it up.
Correct. Yes.
Right. Okay. So ask me what he did for his last meal, because his last meal hadn't gotten digested yet. So when it got digested, all that sugar he had in the meal actually increased his blood sugar. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So that makes sense.
Understand the effects, understand the cause and effects of consuming these enzymes. Because if your last meal had a lot of sugar in it, or a lot of carbohydrates like breads and stuff that have a lot of hidden sugar, when you start digesting that meal's got to go someplace, and it's got to go through the body. So if you've got something that has a lot of sugar in it, you get it digested with the enzymes where it wasn't digested before, it's going to increase your blood sugar. If you haven't eaten anything, if you have fasted and you have high blood sugar levels, that's when this stuff's going to show up as magic.
Got it. Yep. I got it. Just because he told me that, so what happened is it went up 22 points. So like around 4 o'clock, and he'd eaten previously, and that's where I went wrong. But he had eaten, and I said, take a few enzymes, and I'd sent him some starter enzymes, the half dose. And so I believe I told him to take 3 or 4. And so at 4 o'clock, it was like 206, and then his blood sugar went up to 228 at 440. So, 35 minutes later.
Right. And here's what you do. Okay, now we got your meal digested. It's in your blood. Now take a couple more of the exact same enzymes you just took. Let's wait another half hour, see what happens. There's still no food consumption, nothing else contributing. That thing would have dropped like a rock. It would have been probably in the 160.
Got it. Okay. And that's where the doctors are saying they're having a challenge with him, is getting his blood sugar levels down. So now they've got him back on Coumadin and some of those things. So I was just, so thank you. This is very, very helpful.
Well, Coumadin is a blood thinner. It thins your blood. It doesn't reduce your sugar levels.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Metformin. I meant metformin.
Metformin. There we go. Yeah, and that's only works for maybe about 50% of people that take it. Doesn't even work for most people.
Okay. Well, perfect. Thank you. And I didn't mean to cut anybody off if they had a question. But,
Okay, but just give me a second here. So I'll tell you what to do for him if you really want to help him with his diabetes. You've heard of this new herb called berberdine? I think it's called berberdine.
Okay.
It's something that's new that comes out. Take 1,500. I'm telling you this because I've dealt with some of the worst diabetics in the last year, and it's just amazing. They're no longer on any medications whatsoever, and their blood glucose levels are normal after being severe diabetics for over 30 years. Type 2, but they've been severe diabetics for years and years and years and years and years, decades in fact. So there's berberdine. There is chromium polynicotinate or chromium picolinate. You want to take a milligram. Those are all in micrograms. So you want to take 1,000 micrograms or 1 milligram of chromium a day. Take 1,500 of this berberdine, or I know I'm not, berberine, either berberdine, something like that. But if you look on the internet, it's everywhere. And it's really, really good. So there's chromium, there's berberdine, and then there was vanadium. You take those three as a cocktail, and your blood sugar is going to drop like a rock.
Okay. And where do you get those at? The local health food store, supplement store?
Food store should have all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact,
perfect.
I'm thinking about, my problem is I just don't have the time to do the proper research and development on it, because I'd like to bring out a product, but I'm not going to bring out a product unless I got a minimum of 2 years of beta testing, which means individual testing, and I test hundreds of people, not a few people. When I developed this whole product line, there was no less than 1,000 people over a 10-year period of time that were actually developed and tested before we had the product line that we have today. And people say, wow, you could use more products. How come you only come out with one product every 2-3 years? I said, because we thoroughly vet and test that product before we want to move on to the next one. And so it took me all those years of private labeling to actually get all of these formulas put together. By the time I had left private labeling, now I had formulas that I could put into the Enriching Gift line that had all been properly tested and researched and everything for almost 10 years. So, yeah. But that'll actually work for him really, really well. And I'm trying to think.
So Burbidine, chromium, and vanadium. Vanadium
is a mineral. And then it seems like I'm missing one more thing. Maybe it was the Aloe Ace Max. Because this is one of my wholesalers out in Missouri. And he does that tractor pull racing and stuff. They've got tractors that got 6 and 12 hinges connected to one frame. I mean, he's in the pro stock. He travels all over America for that circuit. He's one of the top 5 tractor pull guys in the nation. And anyway, so he's been struggling. And I wasn't able to stop out there this year, but last fall when I was out there, he had said, yeah, I started taking this Burbidine. And boy, he said, that's really helped a lot. And he says, I still take the aloe because if I take the berberine without the aloe, it doesn't work nearly as well. So, and then of course the enzymes. He's on the enzymes, the aloe, and this berberine cocktail, I call it. But there's one other thing I'll think of.
So it's called berberine. You said it right. Berberine. And Steve, thank you for that.
Yeah.
He's in the chat.
I mean, it's a type of amino acid derivative, is what it is. But it is amazing stuff when it comes to a diabetic. It's the new hot rage, I'll tell you, and it works. And it's going to put the whole metformin and glucophage and all that other medical insulin crap right out of business. Because it doesn't only just reduce it, it actually heals your pancreas. It helps to heal your pancreas. So anyways, yeah, I was thinking about it, and I thought, man, just stick with what you do. Stick with your enzymes. Stick with what you got. You got the best in the world for what you have. And like I said, I'm not out there to be everything to all people. I just want to be the best at a little small niche called disease result. Or the other good people they're looking for, and be an honest guy about it. So, is that all you needed for your friend, or what you were talking about?
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say good night to everybody. I've been at it all day long. I said the sheetrock is heavy on an old guy, and it's real heavy on a not so physical capable anymore guy. But I just thank everybody that came on the call tonight. And again, I just really hope they got some information that somehow brings some good luck and good clarity and some good health to your life, as well as somebody you may know like Dover. So that's why we're here every week. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. And Dover, I'll let you close it out.
All right. We appreciate everyone being here, and we'll be here next week. So come back, bring your questions, bring your comments. More importantly, reach out and touch someone who can benefit from this information, which is all of us, because I know I learn something each and every week. So thank you, Ron. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and we'll be here next week. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Great night, everybody. Stay safe.